Jeffrey Epstein would set up these honeypots, what you might have been witnessing with a Bill Gates, the slow seduction of getting somebody into a compromised position. Epstein's company, Cypress Incorporated, leased 1,243 acres of state land next to his ranch. New Mexico is known for its history of secrecy. So it seemed like a good spot for Jeffrey Epstein to act out his diabolical plans. It seems like this was his perfect spot apart from Epstein's Island. And the fact that it's more hidden, more secluded, more in the middle of nowhere, and more about, Epstein's Island was luxurious right next to Florida. It was right there by the mainland. The fact that this was more secluded, more secret, had its private landing strip, just makes me feel like maybe this was where most of his most diabolical things happen. Now, speaking of New Mexico's history of secrecy, New Mexico is home to Los Alamos Labs, where the atomic bomb was developed, Area 51 connections, Roswell, secret government projects, ultra private elite ranches. So bingo, that might be one of the reasons why he knew about this, was these ultra private elite ranches. Now, I don't know when they started, if they started before, or they just started in the 90s. So this may have been a buzz in these social circles, these high class social circles. So he may have found out like somebody else normally would. Epstein had connections to powerful scientists, possibly making New Mexico a perfect location for secret projects. Remember, I told you he was thinking about spreading his DNA to be the pedophile's Genghis Khan, just spreading his seed, making sure that he lives on. The suspicion is, did Epstein specifically choose New Mexico because of its history of secrecy? When you look at this area, you just pan out. When you pan out, Albuquerque, 54 miles. All these little towns right here. I see places here now, hotels along the interstate. How much of this was going on in the 90s or the early 2000s? It seems like this area has had a recent growth explosion, like everywhere else in America, as people start to spread out, especially lately. In 2013, it had 30 people, and now it has like 100, so it like doubled. But if you look here, there's mountains. This is desolate and in the middle of nowhere. Look at this town. Jeffrey Epstein decided that it was better to have his own private airport, and I'm gonna assume the worst. Who else has big ranches in New Mexico? Well, Ted Turner owns 550,000 acres in New Mexico. John Malone, he's a media mogul. Ted Turner's a CNN founder. If anybody watches CNN, I don't really watch them. Horton family, DR Horton Real Estate, owns 500,000 acres. A tech CEO, Henry Singleton, owns 1 million acres. And I actually know somebody through my ortho family retired and was going to retire in Mexico, but they were concerned about there was kind of a violence in the area where they were going to settle down, and they just felt more comfortable. Instead of getting a ranch out there, went and got a ranch in New Mexico. Now, I have no idea where it's at. I just know it's in New Mexico, and they love it. It's on a ton of land. So this is not uncommon for people to go out here still and go purchase some land in New Mexico. Were any of these billionaires aware or connected of Epstein's activities in New Mexico? Bill Gates has 1 acre with no ties to Zorro Ranch. But he's been in the news because he had met with Jeffrey Epstein a couple of times. And so, like I said, it doesn't really matter. People are already assuming the worst at this point. And it seems like Jeffrey Epstein would set up these honeypots to catch people. And what you might have been witnessing with a Bill Gates or this person or that person is the slow seduction of getting somebody into a compromised position, or maybe finding like-minded people that think sick like Jeffrey Epstein. Let's get into the next section. State land deals and government involvement. Epstein's company, Cypress Incorporated, leased 1,243 acres of state land next to his ranch. So here's the Commissioner, New Mexico Land Office. Cypress lease cancellation. The late Jeffrey Epstein, enlisted owner of Zorro Ranch in Santa Fe. The owner of Zorro Ranch, the late Jeffrey Epstein, enlisted as the owner of Zorro Ranch in Santa Fe County. Jeffrey Epstein's company, Cypress, had a lease for 1,243 acres of state trust land leased to Cypress. And this lease dates back to 1993 when Jeffrey Epstein originally purchased the 10,000-acre New Mexico ranch. Commissioner Garcia Richard directed staff to draft a notice of cancellation after multiple messages were left requesting access to the ranch to inspect state trust and following Epstein's death. So you can find this online. It looks like part of his land. It just seems weird. Why wouldn't Jeffrey Epstein just be okay with his 7,000 acres that he already had? Did he need some right-of-way rights? In real estate, sometimes you need to be able to get onto your land. But I don't see you needing 1,243 acres to do so. I don't know which area was... So part of this area... Part of this ranch is government property. And we're not sure why he needed the 1,243, but I'm pretty sure it was just to be more secluded, more creepy, and able to do what he needs to do without anybody catching him. So, suspicion. How did Jeffrey Epstein get approved for these leases in the first place? Did political favors keep his land dealings hidden? Well, I mean, you know, the governor sold him this land. I'm pretty sure that helped him.